Well, hey everybody, how's it going? Sitting over here in Columbia, Missouri, waiting to load a load, go back to Utah, which I think I was over there in Utah last time I touched base with y'all.
Say a command.
Jesus, please, this man. That daggum thing's always yakking at me. Anywho, sitting here in Columbia, Missouri. Last time I went to check in with y'all, I was over there in Utah waiting to load, which I'm going, this load is going to that place where I was at waiting to load the last time I checked in. Gonna go over there, get a load, or take a load over there, and then I don't know what. I'm kind of hoping I get a load out of there back to Texas and go take a couple of days off. I've been out since the 31st of October, so kind of getting about ready to go to the house for a day or two. Personally, nothing really to update on the truck. Everything's going good. I'm still at 6.1 on the dash. I noticed a few comments. Oh man, now I can't think of any of them. Isn't that something? Ah, golly, I've got to start writing these things down. Anyways, nothing to report on the truck. One thing is, this truck, I'm pretty sure, does have the extra insulation package in it to keep it warm or whatever, like in the cab. And I've got a blanket back there, and then I've got another blanket too that I can like pull over myself. But I've got a sleeping bag, and instead of getting in the sleeping bag, I get underneath the sleeping bag, and then the one blanket, and then the two blankets. And the other day I went to bed up in Green River, Utah, and it got down to like 20 degrees that night, and I was snug as a bug. Now, it ain't no fun getting out of bed when it's that cold outside, but I slept no problem. So I shouldn't have to worry about idling my truck in the wintertime too much unless, there's a risk of the fuel gelling. Which, if that was the case, I would idle it even if I did have an APU, because I don't want to have gelled up fuel 400 miles from anywhere. Somebody pulled up next to me. 400 miles from anywhere and have gelled up fuel and then
Say a command.
Dadgummit! Just gonna unplug this thing. 400 miles from anywhere, have gelled up fuel and then have all kinds of problems, sub-zero weather and blah blah, all that mess. So, I shouldn't have to worry about idling the truck unless the fuel's gonna gel or something. So unless it gets down, a good ways below 20, like if it's down around like 10, 12 degrees and I ain't got much fuel in the tank, then I'm probably just going to idle it anyways, which I would if I had an APU. Anyways, so. And also another thing is I don't idle it. I bump it up to 900 RPMs. And I have a friend, another guy I know back home, he's more of an acquaintance really. He had he had a 2018 Pete with an X15 in it, and he just swapped it off on a brand new one. He's got a 2020 or a 2021 now. He had 225,000 miles on it, and well, I'll be darned, he just walked right in that door. I tried walking in several doors over here and couldn't get in. Anyways, maybe they unlocked it for him because he was on the scale or something. Anywho, so 225,000 miles is what he had on that truck. He hit a cow the other day and wrecked it up pretty bad, and instead of dealing with the insurance stuff, he just bought another one. And I don't blame him, because Peterbilt said it was going to take a long time to get it fixed. So anyways, all that to say is he didn't have an APU on his, and he had 225,000 or 245,000 miles on it or something to that effect whenever he got rid of it. And the only thing that had gone wrong with it was a water and fuel sensor went out on it. So it was throwing a water and fuel light on the dash whenever really there was no water in the fuel. So 240 some odd thousand miles, that's pretty good. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. I'm not really worried about all the DPF stuff because I'm not going to have this truck that long anyways. I'm probably going to buy the extended warranty so I can keep it a little bit longer, but I'm not going to be having this truck no 700, 800, a million miles. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to swap it off and buy another new one because, like I talked about in the other video, the uptime from this one is just such a tremendous, it's just such, it's just so much more profitable. It's just a tremendous reduction in cost with this truck compared to my old one. Any one of the three of my old ones, you know, I'm just able to make so much more money because I'm available for work. So I'm not really wanting to do the old truck thing anymore, you know, not something I'm interested in. Because I don't know about everybody in the world, but whenever I had an old truck, I was working really, really hard for really, really nothing. So, or I was doing a lot of work for a little of money. So I'm not really interested in that. You know, hey, if you're out there and you got a $10,000-$15,000 truck and you're making oodles and bukus of money, hey man, good on you. I'm glad for you. That just wasn't the case for me, you know. Shoot, I envy you if you want to know the truth. Well, kinda. I mean, this truck is pretty dadgum comfortable, you know. So, but at the same token, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of a cheapskate a little bit. If I really thought that I could make it, you know, make the kind of money I'm making this truck with a $15,000 truck, I'd probably do it. But I just don't think I could. I think I'd be, you know, right back in the same boat that I just got out of. So, anyways, nothing really new to talk about. I'm at 6.1 on my dash. I haven't pulled out my fuel receipts and actually figured out down to the penny what I'm doing a mile this week. I'm, about 6. I haven't idled the truck in a very long time. Since the weather got real cold in Dalhart one night in a snowstorm. There's probably going to be a little bit of snow going over 80 in Wyoming, so I'm not really looking forward to that. There's, what else? Loading this load going to Utah. You know, hey man, everything's been great. You know, just loading one and unloading it and loading another and going. About all I've been doing. I don't know if I really want to get into any of my plans, like as far as any more interior things that I want to do. I don't know if I've showed I replaced in my Chrome video, I don't know if I talked about that I wanted to replace my tractor trailer knobs, which I did. They're replaced. I've got the little, the fancy kind. I would take my phone down and show you, but then I'm going to have to fool with setting it all back up there. It's sitting in my screen. Then I got a little pin behind it. Kind of got it like propped up with the pin. It's a mess. So anywho, that's about it, guys. Nothing really to report on. Everything's going great. You know, just chugging right along, keeping it going. I still really want to get a GoPro so I can do better videos instead of just sitting here jambling into the camera. You know what? Matter of fact, I do have something we can go over. It's more numbers. It's more money stuff. But right here is my little revenue book, kinda, sorta. I keep track of just random notes and blah, blah, this, that, and the other thing. So I wanted to take a few really bad months I had in my Freightliner and go over that, and then you know, a couple, and then some months I've had. And these are going to be the two extreme ends. You know what I'm saying? Let me find them. I should have prepared this. Okay, so here's a pretty bad month in my Freightliner. September of 2018, I grossed $14,649.10. So, I don't know if y'all can see right there. $14,649.10. Right there. Okay. So that's a pretty terrible month. October I did okay. Did decent. November was not very good. 17.5 in November. Not real great. I think January, I added it up a minute ago. It was like 10 grand. I didn't even add it up last year. Or this January of 2018. I didn't even add it up because I remember what was going on that year, and it was a bad month. It was a bad month. Okay, and then I only did like $10,000 of gross revenue. It's pretty bad, but anyways, since I've bought this truck, I've had no problem averaging $20,000 a month. I grossed $60,122.65 last quarter, and I had this truck all that quarter. So is that showing up? $60,122.65. And then so far this quarter, we're about halfway through it, a little more than halfway through it, and I added it up, and I'm at like 37,000 for the quarter-ish. And my first quarter of this year, I had my old truck, and I grossed $45,800. So $15,000 a quarter. I mean, that's almost like not working for 3 weeks, essentially. You know, if you figure that on a $5,000 week. So normally I do a little bit better than $5,000 a week, but you know, and that $61,000 I grossed last quarter and the $37,000 this quarter, I took 10 days off in October, or 10, because I took 2 34-hour breaks, and then I just took randomly because I felt like it. I just took 6 days off the house, and then earlier, whenever I first bought the truck and I was hauling cattle, we had some rain difficulties and some cattle price difficulties, and like I mean, I don't know because I don't buy cattle, but from what I understood, the cattle prices were going down and the grass was growing, so there was really no good reason for people to sell their cattle. So that pretty much meant that I didn't have anywhere to haul them if nobody was selling them. So there's a little bit of numberage for you, not too much in depth, but I mean, I did 45,000 with my truck first quarter, and I was down like 17 days in January alone. So, because I was having one of them little nitpicking issues, man. And I'll tell you what happened was I was having some braking difficulties with that truck. I didn't dang near. I ran a red light in Joplin, Missouri, because I put my brake to the floor, nothing happened. It's like something stopped me. And in my old truck. And I took it to them, they couldn't figure out what it was. Well, then eventually the problem reversed, and it ended up being where the brakes wouldn't let loose. They were staying applied. And they, oh gosh, they mic'd the things where the rollers set inside the brake drum. They mic'd the S-cam, like with a micrometer, trying to figure out, it's getting cockeyed in there, or something mess. And what it was on those old FLDs, there's a cylinder, there's the arm on the brake pedal, it pushes a cylinder which sets inside a housing, which goes outside on the firewall to the brake applicator valve deal. That you bash that, and then air comes from the supply to the service side of the chamber, and how hard you mash it is how much air goes out and how much the brakes are applied. And that ended up being the whole deal, so it was one of those little, just old truck nonsensical issues that took forever to chase down, and I was Googling it on the internet, and they were fooling with it, and, couldn't get anything figured out, blah, blah. Eventually they figured it out, 17 some odd days later, and it just, oh gosh, on and on. And I think whenever I initially had that problem, I had to deadhead home all the way from the panhandle of Oklahoma, which was after I was deadheading over that direction from somewhere else. And then the truck gave me the problem. Then I went on home. So anyways, not much to really talk about, just out here running around, hauling loads, trying to make a little bit of money. Got this load going to Utah. We went over that. Got my fingers crossed for a load out of Utah going back home. If they got one, great. If not, I guess I'll stay out another couple of days until I can work my way back home. It is what it is. But I really want to be working on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day both, and the reason for that is that there are not 2 more peaceful days in the year to drive a truck. Last year, Christmas Day, I woke up in Lordsburg, New Mexico, and I drove all the way down 10 and then back 20 and then 30 over to Sulphur Springs, Texas. And I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I bet I met 2 people the whole day on the interstate. There just wasn't, it was just me. It was like, those movies in the zombie movies where everybody's gone? That's what it looked like. I mean, there was just nobody. It was just me. And then I got to the truck stop, and I think there was like 5 trucks in the whole parking lot. And that truck stop out there in Sulphur Springs packs up, and it packs up quick. So, there's, in my opinion, the 2 best days to be on the road in the big trucks, Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I don't want to pass up on them. Those those some good days, man. It's just you and the highway, you know, nobody cutting you off, nobody shooting you the finger, which happened to me the other day in Iowa. Some guy come around me, leaning all the way over against the over. He had a passenger with him. He's leaning all the way over, shooting me the rod. Had his finger pressed up against the glass. You know, he was back probably 400 or 500 yards behind me. I put on my signal to get around a slow truck, and I even sped up going around him, you know, to go around the slow truck to get out of this guy's way. And which I didn't need to, because I wasn't cutting him off or anything. And, you know, because if it would have been dangerous, I wouldn't have got over there in front of him in the first place. But anyways, he comes around me, shooting me the rod, and then he, you know, flings over in front of my truck, all mad, jams on his brakes, and, you know, wouldn't you know it, he got off the next exit. Couldn't have been 100 yards down the street. Osceola, Iowa, south side of town on I-35. Flipping me off, swerving at me, trying to run me off the road in a pickup. Come on, man. Anyways, that's just, you know, that's just stuff you got to deal with out here, man. People are, you know, they think that, I don't know what the heck they're thinking. You know, they put their, you know, they'll fly around you, jam on the brakes, and then run through the grass to get on an off ramp. And it's like, you know, you did that, and you got there. I mean, you got there at the same time my front bumper did, and you jammed on your brakes, drove through the grass. Probably could have risked losing control of your car, spinning out of control in 70-mile-an-hour traffic. You know, I mean, I don't know why people just can't be just 2 seconds, you know, and get there to the ramp safely. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't get it. It completely evades my understanding of the human's will to survive. Because I don't do stuff that stupid around big trucks. No sirree. I ain't counting on that guy paying attention. He might not be paying attention. So, you know, anyway, so that's my story about some impatient ignoramus in Iowa shooting me the finger. Whatever. I don't care. It is what it is. Heck, whenever he came around me shooting me the finger, I thought, what in the world did I do to this guy? And then it dawned on me, I was like, oh, he was probably doing, you know, 95 behind me and I couldn't tell. And then he was mad that he had to slow down is probably what happened. You know, so anyways, but I didn't cut him off or any of that mess. But because I don't do that to people, because they might not be paying attention and might run in the back of your trailer or something, you know. You know, and I don't care whether I'm at fault in the accident or not. I don't want to have an accident, period. Because then you got to deal with the police. You got to deal with this, insurance. They're going to tell, you know, they're probably going to make up some wild story about how, you know, you were driving the wrong way down the interstate or some nonsense. And I'd just soon not be in an accident. So I'm not going to do anything silly because I don't want an accident. Because this is the only source of income I have. So I don't want to jeopardize that over to save a second and a half, maybe. Anyways, so that's my story about getting flipped off the other day. You know, if you drive a truck, you know what happens. I mean, it's just, you know, inconsiderate people. You know what drives me up the wall about it the most, though, is I try to be a polite person with everybody I meet. And here's why. Because, you know, when I'm in the trucking, you know, when you're out trucking or whatever, most of the people you encounter, you know, chances are you're never going to see that person again in your life. And chances are you've never seen that person until right then. And you just don't know what anybody's going through. You know, everybody's got problems. Everybody's got a house payment or whatever. They're paying for housing. Maybe they got kid problems. Maybe they got spouse problems. Maybe they got this, that, or the third. You know, and I don't want to be bailing out of the truck causing undue grief on this person because I've had a bad day because whatever, you know, I just would rather get out of the truck and be as nice and polite and courteous as to everybody that I possibly can be, you know. Now, I'm not going to sit down and lay back and take no mess neither, but, you know, I'm not going to get out hooping and hollering, you know, if a plant breaks down and they can't unload me for 4 or 5 extra hours or something, because that's nobody's fault. I mean, that, you know, stuff happens. What's going to happen if I get out and get mad and start yelling at everybody? I'm going to be mad and the plant's still going to be broke down. You know, it ain't gonna fix anything. So, you know, and I just don't understand why people are so aggressive, like on Facebook or social media. They'll say just the nastiest, most derogatory things about people. Never even met them, never even knew them, you know. And it's funny that you're when you're out and about in public that nobody, like say you're at the grocery store and you push your basket out or something and somebody bumps into you, they don't come around the end of the aisle giving you a cussing match. You know, they say, "Oh, excuse me." So it just, I find it odd how brave people get with anonymity. You know, I don't know if that guy in particular would have been that way if you know, we had an encounter in the parking lot or something, but I have had enough encounters to, I think, comfortably assume that he wouldn't have acted that way if we would have had an encounter in the grocery store or something to that effect, that he was in a pickup and he knew I couldn't chase him, so it was his opportunity to be rude, you know, and flip me off and shoot me the finger and whatever and try to run me off the deadgum highway. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. I'm not really too upset about it, about the incident in particular, but it does bother me whenever people grow, you know, if you'll pardon my French, their cojones become extra large, you know, whenever they got anonymity. You know, if they're on the internet typing or yakking at somebody over the phone or driving down the highway, you know, they're a whole lot braver than they would be standing in line at the cash register. You know what I mean? Or people who treat help bad, like people who treat, like say waitresses and waiters and hostesses in restaurants or cashiers, that sort of thing. You know, they treat them bad because they know they can get away with it. You know, because what's this poor little 17-year-old cashier at the Taco Bell gonna do? This guy screaming at her about not, you know, having lettuce on his tacos or some nonsense. You know, it just amazes me how puffed up and rude people will get because they feel like they can. Not because they should, but because they can. You know, it just aggravates me. So I think, you know, and I try to be polite because you never know what anybody's going through. I mean, you're liable to one of these days, you know, walk in there and be mad about lettuce on your tacos, and that old boy behind the cash register has been having him a rough day, rough couple of days, and maybe you're the second or third, you know, impatient person he's dealt with, and maybe he's just tired of dealing with it. He's going to come out there and thump you on the head. You know, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to get thumped on the noggin. So, you know, I just try to be polite. You know, and I'll tell you what, man, in my experience, you'd be surprised. You know, there are people out there who are just, you know, they're hell bent on being difficult, but in my experience, you'd be surprised at how far a little common courtesy and yes or no, sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, please, thank you, blah blah, kind of don't be too assertive. Like whenever you show up somewhere and, you know, instead of, you know, say for instance it's your first time unloading or loading somewhere, instead of rolling down the window and going, "Hey, where do I need to go?" Maybe try, "Excuse me, it's my first time here, I don't know where to go, could you help me? Please." You know, you'd be surprised at how your actions kind of controls someone's interaction with you. From my experience, I mean, get more flies with honey, I expect, or more bees with honey, whatever. Get better results being courteous, I think. So, blah blah. You know, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I just wish people would use a little more manners in their daily life. Now, these are a few people. Most people I meet, you know, that guy flipping me off, that is the exception. Most people I meet they're fine. They're nice enough, you know, whatever. But, you know, whenever I'm standing in line at the truck stop and some guy's screaming at the cashier because his rewards card ain't working right or some nonsense, I'm like, come on, man. You know, she's got problems too. I promise you that if she could just fix the problem, she would, just to get you out of her face. You know, she's not trying to inconvenience you. And that's what you see. A lot of people are acting as if the person on the other end of the transaction or the interaction is attempting to inconvenience them. So, and that's almost never the case. You know, usually it's out of their control too. And they would rather you be convenienced, you get in there with as little conflict. You get in and get out with as little conflict as possible, and it just helps things run more smoothly. It makes their day better, more profitable for the company, more likely to come back. But unfortunately, reality has to get in there and mess up perfection every single time. So, I don't know. But long story short, I think people should be polite. That's it. Be polite. Say yes, sir. Say no, sir. Don't be rude to the waitress. And even if they are a little rude to you, maybe give them a couple of shots before you get snarky back with them. That's what I try to do. Now, I'm not going to, lie to you and say that if they're rude to me and I'm polite, they're rude to me and I'm polite, then they're rude to me again, then I'm not going to get a little aggravated with them. But maybe take a tone with them that a more patient person wouldn't. But, I try to be, as I think all people should, just polite. Just polite, just courteous, That's all. Anyways, that's how now everybody knows how I feel about manners. I think manners are very, very important. I do. I think being polite to people, especially strangers. Now, if it's my buddy here, I'll cuss him up one side and down the other and make fun of him, and he'll do the same to me. But you're not going to catch me doing that to some stranger. That dude's liable to be like some kind of a Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert and choke me out with his knees or something. Nope, not this guy. I'm nice. All right, guys, that's my update on the truck and money and manners. So y'all guys take it easy. Have a good one.